Breaking news. You probably hadn't heard it yet, but the Euros are on. Also breaking news, I've managed to make it back to New York, so I am now at the normal setup again. The wall is still not set up, obviously. That just hasn't happened yet because I'm being lazy. I'm gonna be honest. I'm also being lazy with the running. I've still done just one training run, and I made it about 2.5 miles before stopping. I ended up going like 7 miles, but I stopped 3 times, so basically I'm just a baby back bitch. But we will get to marathon distance by the time we get to November. Mark my words. But we'll start the first thing, obviously the least important thing on that list. But the Euros are on, and it is time to recap what happened in day 3, technically, but I'm just calling it day 2 of the Euros. This is Poland, Netherlands, Slovenia, Denmark, and Serbia, England. We'll start with Poland and the Netherlands, which was a match that did absolutely nothing to change my opinion of either of these two teams. I'm going to be honest, Poland is just mid. They are a mid team. They've got a couple of exciting players. They're missing, generally speaking, they're missing that kind of world-class oomph outside of a certain individual. But of course, that certain individual is not available for this game. He was technically listed as on the bench, but I don't think he was an option. Robert Lewandowski, there was an injury or something going into the tournament. I imagine anytime they're telling you they're out one game at a time, it means he's probably going to miss a lot more time than just he's going to miss one game. Because if you can play in a Euros match, if you have any % chance of being able to successfully play in a Euros match, you usually do, especially when the team you're on is Poland, which is far from guaranteed to get to the next round. But Poland did start this match by taking the lead. Took a 1-0 lead against the Netherlands, which was definitely going to test a Dutch team that has been unconvincing, right? The World Cup quarterfinal at the World Cup 2022, that was their last major tournament outing, but it is a Dutch team that has obviously fluctuated. They missed the World Cup before that, and they haven't been able to make a super deep Euros run in recent memory. In fact, the Dutch haven't gotten to the quarterfinals of a European Championship since all the way back in 2008. They, of course, missed it before they missed the World Cup. They were on a terrible run, and they did make it to the round of 16 of the last Euros, but that was it. And nothing about this match changed my perception of the Netherlands at all. They were able to come back, right? They were able to score a couple of goals, and they were certainly the better team. Poland, I would say if I was rating % chance to win the game, if somebody had to win, I would have Netherlands probably 65-70% chance to win. Depay bricked a couple of chances, right? But the Netherlands was better. Poland was certainly active in the game without Lewandowski, so that's not a great sign for the Netherlands. But the issue for the Netherlands is outside of Memphis Depay, who do they have that's going to be able to go in there and actually stir the pot and make something happen? And nobody arrived to kind of change my perception of that. Gakpo's goal was, this kind of deflected mess, and I'm waiting for the Dutch to show me, right? Because I have to go on stream and I sit on these videos all the time and talk about, well, who are the favorites? Who are the teams that can win? I don't think the Dutch are one of the teams that can win this tournament. Now, it's a tournament. Anything can freaking happen if you get lucky at a few lucky bounces, right? That's why you play the game. You show up and try and make it happen. But the Dutch national team just does not seem to have the firepower to return to its glory days of even the early 2000s, to be able to hold itself high as even like a Portugal, a team that would, people talk about dark horses. They talk about teams that have basically no shot at winning the Euros outside of Greece in 2004. But teams like Portugal that go into major tournaments, not as one of the favorites, but definitely have they have a shot to win, and they did in 2016. That is where, or maybe like a Croatia in the last couple of major tournaments, that is where the Netherlands wants to be. But the Netherlands just hasn't shown that it has the ability to actually beat the best teams. And nothing about surviving a 2-1 against Poland is going to change that. The second match was a steamy little affair between Slovenia and Denmark. And there was one immediate takeaway for me from this match, and that is that Benjamin Šeško, who is a Football Manager darling, I have signed this man a lot of times. He is legit. I know he didn't score in this game, but his ball striking is already world class. I mean, he's shooting, right? And I know he's not Robin Van Persie, right? But I'm going to invoke the name anyways, because there are certain people that are just unbelievable at the actual act of shooting the ball, right, from the striker position. And it reminded me, just watching him in this game, not his movement, not his first time stuff, but the way he was hitting the ball. It was coming out like a laser beam. He had 2 shots in this game that were absolutely astounding from positions that did not seem particularly threatening. One hit the post, one shaved the outside of the post. He's going to score a great goal in this tournament, and he is going to score a lot of great goals in his career. But what was particularly striking is that $70 million man Rasmus Højlund was on the other side for Denmark, and it felt abundantly clear that Benjamin Šeško is the best striker on the field in this game, which is great news for Slovenia, because most of Slovenia's team just isn't that good. Slovenia is a national team that's able to hide behind its name, because people see the name Slovenia, and they just kind of mistake it for Slovakia, which is a better national team. It's only Slovenia's second ever Euros. This country has 2 million people in it. It also plays a good amount of basketball. Luka Doncic is one of the 5 best basketball players in the world. He's from Slovenia as well. It is not a national team that is used to this kind of success. It won 7 of its 10 qualifying matches to get into this Euros, and being able to get a point against Denmark is really outkicking its coverage. Like, this is a massive result for Slovenia and a huge letdown for Denmark. I mean, I'm happy for Christian Eriksen. The other ism today is going to be about Christian Eriksen and that story, because it's just absolutely insane. So that to one side. Denmark feels a lot like the Netherlands. This is a team that is able to very consistently get good results against bad teams or mid teams, but it is not a team that seems to have the firepower to compete with the best teams in the world. The Netherlands and Denmark are both stuck in neutral. Now, the Netherlands had a better World Cup outing last time, obviously, but the Netherlands were also in a cupcake group. Their Pot A team was Qatar. All right, seriously. And then they got the United States in the round of 16. Right, let's be real. That's a solidly good draw, and they were able to take care of that to get to the quarterfinal. But Denmark was dealing with what was apparently a harder group. Right now, they had France in their group. We'll start there. But fast forward to the Euros, we're looking at a Denmark team that's producing the same type of results. Denmark's more talented than Slovenia in basically every position except for goalkeeper and center forward. Every other position on the field, Denmark's going to have a better player out there, particularly in the midfield. Denmark should just be bossing possession and be able to carry the ball through the midfield. Højbjerg alone should be able to handle that. He is a damn good player. But Denmark is not able to take advantage of this supremacy. Now, sure, they had a couple of good chances, but they can't score. They can't put the ball in the back of the net. You let Slovenia hang around, right? Denmark dominated them for the first 60 minutes, I would say. Slovenia hangs around, gets a deflected goal, but man, they were lucky that Šeško didn't put one of those 2 shots away earlier. Denmark is not able to separate enough. It just results in them playing with fire, and then eventually they get burned, right? So Denmark and the Netherlands are in the same category for me. I'd be surprised if they didn't get to the knockout stages, but I mean, if you're Denmark, this was the easiest game. So there is a compelling argument to be made that the least talented team in this tournament's not Albania or Georgia, it's Slovenia. And they didn't beat them, right? They showed up and they did not beat them. And I'm happy for Slovenia. I'm always rooting for the underdog. But now you got Serbia and England. Neither of those is a guaranteed win. Serbia is definitely better on paper than Slovenia and over the results over the last decade or whatever. Serbia is a mountain in the Euros. And England is England, right? They're the second most talented team in the entire tournament, and Denmark will be an underdog. So drawing this match very well could knock Denmark out, because they need to win one of those 2 matches. The final match was the absolute snoozer that was Serbia and England. It's amazing. You feel like if you made like a 5-minute highlight package of this video, it would be full, like half full of just boring nonsense. Gareth Southgate is uniquely gifted at turning what should be a very vibrant and exciting England team into just the manifestation of the snooze button. But England won. Jude Bellingham, and the inevitable result of a bunch of people hyping him up, and then a bunch of people getting mad that a bunch of people are hyping him up, where Jude Bellingham doesn't seem to really be participating in the getting hyped up process, but now he has a bunch of haters because people are just hating on him getting hyped up. It's a really fun process to watch. Like, he gets hyped up because he is an absolutely unbelievable player, and then a bunch of people just start hating on him because he's getting hyped up, even though him getting hyped up wasn't his fault in the first place. So if you're involved in that sort of tug of war, just for your own sake, maybe lay down your arms and just appreciate, especially if you're English, the fact that this guy's basically going to be the best midfielder in the world over the course of the next decade. He looks like Zidane running around on the ball. He's so calm. He's so confident. I'm not going to turn into the BBC here and start doing splits on it, but he is a very, very good player, and that goal was very impressive. And the reason I talk about his confidence is I feel like he was one of the guys that was really, he bumped Kostic at one point. He was one of the guys that was really sticking up to a Serbian team that was trying to out-physical England. Pickford looked solid. Serbia looked pretty competent. I mean, honestly, if Serbia had been able to put a pass or 2 together, they totally could have scored a goal. Serbia was more in this game than Slovenia was in the Denmark game. Just being entirely honest with you. And so if England continues to play this way, right, I talked about this when I was doing my Euro predictions or something. If England continues to play this way, they will keep leaving the door open. right? Because they're not blowing teams away. They're not winning 3-4-0 unless they're playing the Faroe Islands or Gibraltar or something, right? I don't even mean to disrespect the Faroe Islands like that. I love those guys. We made a YouTube video there. But they don't blow teams out. And when you don't blow teams out at the Euros where nobody gives up and everybody's trying as hard as they can for their country, you're going to get moments like Slovenia. And England was kind of lucky that Serbia didn't get one of those moments, a loose cross, a loose bounce, a deflection, right? Because there were a couple of balls and chances around the goal. Pickford made a really good save. I think it was in the second half. I've always thought Pickford was better than a lot of people thought he was. There's a reason that he has been the undisputed number one for England for a long time. But England got the job done. Denmark doesn't look particularly good. England just wants to win the group in terms of seeding, and beating Serbia, you might have beaten the second best team in the group. We'll see how that shakes out, but Denmark and Serbia are probably playing for second. England's going to have a shot to really blow somebody out. I think England's got an opportunity to win this tournament if they can show me a 4 or 5-0 against Slovenia or a 4 or 5-1. Maybe Šeško's able to grab one. If they can actually show that they can run away from a team. I don't think they'll run away from Denmark. Denmark is too solid. Denmark's just kind of a worse version of England in some ways where they're unblowoutable, right? But it can be really boring at times. So this group is far from done. England got the job done, but I am absolutely not convinced that they've turned the corner from that Iceland defeat in the run-up. But the Euros moves on to a next day, which is actually already underway as I'm recording this, so I'm looking forward to that video tomorrow because Romania, question mark?